We were discussing about urine formation in the last class, and we were discussing the tubular reabsorption part of the urine formation. So we will continue that one, tubular reabsorption. Now coming to amino acid reabsorption. So amino acids are fully reabsorbed in proximal tubule, and that is through the sodium amino acid co-transporter. So we have already seen the reabsorption of sodium from the proximal tubule. So along with sodium, amino acid can also get transported into the tubular cells. So that is a secondary active transport mechanism. So the concentration gradient of sodium is maintained by sodium potassium ATPase pump. Next, coming to the chloride transport. So chloride can be transported along with sodium in distal convoluted tubule, that is sodium chloride co-transporter, and along with sodium and potassium in the thick ascending limb of loop of Henle, that is sodium potassium 2 chloride co-transporter. So these two we already have seen in the sodium reabsorption mechanism. So along with sodium in DCT and along with sodium and potassium in thick ascending limb. And this chloride reabsorption is inversely related to bicarbonate because both of these are negatively charged particles. So if chloride is more reabsorbed, there will be less of bicarbonate reabsorption. If chloride reabsorption is less, there will be more of bicarbonate reabsorption. Coming to the bicarbonate reabsorption, 90% of the bicarbonate is reabsorbed in the PCT by secondary active transport mechanism, whereas 10% is reabsorbed in DCT and collecting tubule. So the details of this bicarbonate reabsorption we will see along with the acid-base balance. So after that acid-base balance, you can write the details of the mechanism in this one also. If you are writing the urine formation along with the bicarbonate reabsorption, you should explain the mechanism also. Now coming to the calcium reabsorption. Some calcium is bound to albumin in the plasma and is not filtered at all. Because the albumin is a big molecule and also it's negatively charged, it is not filtered. So along with that, calcium is also not filtered. The rest of the calcium that is filtered into the tubule is reabsorbed at PCT as well as DCT. In PCT, it is the main mechanism of reabsorption is solvent drag, and that is by the paracellular route. Solvent drag means along with water, calcium is also getting reabsorbed. That is the solvent drag. And the paracellular route means there is a small gap between the tubular cells, and through this small gap, this calcium is getting reabsorbed. So this gap between the two cells, and through this gap calcium is reabsorbed, and that is called as the paracellular route. Now in DCT, the calcium reabsorption is through apical calcium channel like TRPVC. So the PTH and vitamin D increases the calcium reabsorption. Now coming to phosphate reabsorption. The phosphate reabsorption occurs in the PCT. So that is with the help of sodium phosphate co-transporter. That is the secondary active transport mechanism, and the concentration gradient is maintained by sodium potassium pump. So most of the filtered phosphate is reabsorbed, and the PTH decreases this transport through the sodium phosphate co-transporter, where vitamin D and calcitonin increases the reabsorption of phosphates. Now coming to the water transport. So this one is important. This alone can be asked as a question. So normally about 180 liter of water is filtered through the glomeruli. So we already said what is this one? This is the GFR, that is glomerular filtration rate, that is 180 liter per day. But the urine output is about 1 liter per day. So that means about 99% of the water that is filtered into the tubule is getting reabsorbed. Concentrated urine means water is retained in excess of the solute, and dilute urine means water is lost in excess of solute. Now what is the mechanism of water transport in PCT? So the water transport is mainly through water channels and they are called as the aquaporins. So aquaporin 1 is present in PCT and that is present both in the apical as well as basolateral membrane of the tubule cell. So passive reabsorption of 65 to 70% of water occurs along with sodium. So we already have seen how the sodium is reabsorbed in the PCT through various mechanisms. So when sodium is getting reabsorbed, along with that there will be reabsorption of water also, that is passive reabsorption. And so the fluid at the end of the PCT is isoosmotic. Because of the osmolarity of the sodium, water is also getting reabsorbed into the tubule. So whatever fluid that is remaining in the tubule, that will be isoosmotic. That means it has the same osmolarity as that of the plasma. Now coming to loop of Henle. The descending limb is highly permeable to water and the reabsorption occurs via aquaporin 1. So 10 to 15% of the reabsorption of water occurs in loop of Henle in the descending limb. But the ascending limb is impermeable to water. Now coming to DCT and collecting tubule. So tubular fluid entering DCT is hypotonic. So in the early part of DCT, 5 to 8% is reabsorbed, that is passively along with sodium, the same mechanism as in PCT. In early part of DCT, along with sodium, water is reabsorbed. But in terminal DCT and collecting tubule, the permeability of the water is through aquaporin 2, water channel aquaporin 2. And that permeability is increased by ADH or vasopressin. So 10 to 12% of the reabsorption of water occurs in the terminal DCT and CT with the help of ADH. So water transport occurs mainly through water channels aquaporin 1. So in PCT and early DCT, it is the passive transport of water along with sodium. Whereas in descending limb, it is through the water channel itself. So water channels are present both in the apical membrane as well as basolateral membrane of the tubule cell. In late DCT and collecting duct, that is with the help of ADH, so it will attach to the V2 receptors present in the tubule and that will help in the reabsorption of water through aquaporin 2 channels, not aquaporin 1, aquaporin 2 channels. So the water transportation or water reabsorption, we can say it is in the two ways: obligatory reabsorption of water and facultative reabsorption of water. So obligatory reabsorption means passive reabsorption of water that occurs in the PCT as well as early DCT. So it's secondary to the active reabsorption of sodium. So obligatory reabsorption means passive reabsorption. Next is the facultative reabsorption. So reabsorption in the terminal DCT and collecting duct under the influence of ADH, that is called as facultative reabsorption, and that can vary according to the need of the body. So if the water is to be reabsorbed more, there will be more of ADH secretion, there will be more of reabsorption of water in the terminal DCT and collecting tubule. Now coming to the potassium handling in urine. So potassium is both secreted as well as reabsorbed in the kidney. So normally 99% of the filtered potassium is reabsorbed, that occurs in the PCT and loop of Henle, that is through the solvent drag mechanism that we already discussed for calcium. So the same mechanism occurs for the potassium also. So reabsorbed by the solvent drag mechanism and that occurs through paracellular pathway. Now coming to the secretion of potassium. So secretion occurs mainly in the distal tubule and collecting duct and that occurs through the principal cells. So how this is occurring? So the potassium secretion is occurring through the potassium channel. So the potassium secretion to occur, there should be a negativity inside the tubular lumen. So that lumen electronegativity is produced due to sodium entry. So sodium is reabsorbed through ENaC or epithelial sodium channel. So that will produce an electronegativity inside the lumen, and because of that electronegativity, potassium is secreted into the tubule, and this is maintained by the sodium potassium ATPase pump at the basolateral membrane. Now coming to the effect of aldosterone. Aldosterone increases the activity of sodium potassium ATPase pump in the basolateral membrane. So it will causes an increase in the sodium absorption by ENaC and increases potassium secretion. So potassium secretion depends also on sodium reabsorption. So we already said when sodium is reabsorbed, there is an electronegativity in the tubular lumen, so that will causes mainly the potassium secretion. Now coming to tubular secretion, so H plus, K plus, urea, creatinine, drugs and toxins. These are the substances that are secreted by the tubule. You just have to remember the names of these substances that are secreted. So potassium secretion we have already discussed. The H plus secretion we will discuss along with acid-base balance. The other things, urea, creatinine, drugs and toxins, you have to just remember the names. So when urine formation is asked as an essay or short essay question, you should write in detail about glomerular filtration as well as tubular reabsorption. In the tubular secretion, you can just mention the substances that are secreted. Thank you.